The claim that King Harris landed in the hospital over an alleged attack tied to 50 Cent's camp, and that his father T.I. was brought to tears over it, has the internet in absolute chaos. Listen to this. This whole 50 Cent versus the Harris family saga has twisted and flipped so many times, and we're about to break down every single moment step by step. You won't believe how this unfolded. Here's the complete timeline of the war between 50 Cent, T.I., and King Harris. To really get why things exploded the way they did, we've got to rewind all the way, and the starting point of this chapter, a versus battle that never even happened. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. traces back to a proposed showdown on versus that fans were hyped for. T.I. pushed for the face-off with 50, but according to Tip himself, 50 pulled back at the last minute. Now hold up, this had been simmering for a while, but it finally boiled over when T.I. appeared on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and aired out what he says went down behind closed doors. T.I. sat on $1 Million Worth of Game and laid out his frustrations with 50 directly. He said they had conversations, made plans, and agreed on the play, and when T.I. stepped out publicly with it, 50 moved like he had no clue what was happening. T.I. basically told him, just say you don't want to do it, stop with the extra theatrics, calling the runaround lame and goofy, and confirmed that the versus between them was officially dead. Now for anyone who doesn't know, versus was that cultural platform where two artists went hit for hit, playing their biggest records while fans tuned in live and chose a winner. It turned into a massive moment during the pandemic, and a 50 Cent versus T.I. matchup would have easily been one of the biggest battles the format had ever seen. Both of them are multi-platinum heavyweights from the mid-2000s era. 50 led GU Men at its peak, and T.I. crowned himself the King of the South. The friction between them had already been bubbling through competitive energy and subtle jabs, but despite that history, this specific battle was supposedly agreed to at one point, and then suddenly it wasn't. And that's T.I.'s version of events. 50 Cent, on the other hand, did not appreciate being called out like that in public. Instead of squashing it or directly debating the versus issue, 50 did what he always does. He ran to Instagram and started trolling. Girl. That's when everything took a turn nobody saw coming. Rather than keeping the smoke strictly between him and T.I., 50 decided to drag T.I.'s wife to make a Tiny Harris into the mix. The real spark flew when 50 posted an unflattering performance photo of Tiny with the caption, "I keep saying, keep my name out of your mouth." That single Instagram post shifted the entire temperature of the feud overnight, because before that, this was just two rap veterans arguing over a failed versus and bruised egos. The second Tiny's name got pulled in, the tone completely changed. And there was one person who absolutely wasn't about to stay quiet. That person was King Harris, the 21-year-old son of T.I. and Tiny. Things escalated fast once 50 shared that image of Tameka Tiny Harris. King Harris, the Atlanta rapper's youngest son, jumped on Instagram to defend his mother, firing off multiple posts that brought up 50's past beefs, the aftermath of his 2000 shooting, prior domestic violence allegations, and more. And trust me, King was not playing about his mom.
When his mother's name and face got pulled into a feud she had zero involvement in, King jumped online and made it crystal clear he had something to get off his chest. And from that moment on, he wasn't just watching from the sidelines anymore. He stepped straight into the spotlight of this drama. Now listen to this. Some folks say King crossed the line with what he did next. Others argue he reacted exactly how any son would when his mom gets blasted by someone with over 30 million Instagram followers. However you slice it, the response was instant, it was loud, and it shook the timeline. So let's break down exactly what King Harris said and did after 50 Cent posted that picture of Tiny. When King realized 50 had uploaded an image of his mother just to troll his dad, he didn't pause for a second. He hit Instagram and started clapping back in a way that made it obvious this wasn't rap beef anymore, this was personal. On Sunday, February 22nd, King took to his Instagram stories with an explicit, no-holds-barred rant. After 50 posted that unflattering photo of Tiny during his feud with T.I., King brought up 50's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed away in 1983. He challenged 50 to post a picture of his own mother and doubled down, telling him to keep Tiny out of the crossfire. But hold up, King didn't stop there. On his main Instagram page, he uploaded a photo of a gravesite bearing the names of 50 Cent's mother and grandmother, a video of 50 in court from a case where he was accused of trampling and assaulting 3 women at a concert, and a picture of one of 50's sons sitting on his lap. The internet reacted instantly. Some people felt King went way too far by mentioning 50's deceased mother. Others said 50 opened that door the second he posted about Tiny. The arguments went back and forth for hours, but 50, in true 50 fashion, didn't look rattled at all. He appeared completely unbothered, responding to 50 with nothing more than a laughing emoji attached to a meme. More specifically, 50 replied with a short LOL caption under a popular frog face meme. That sarcastic energy only fueled King even more. 50 then escalated things by posting a clip of himself, and King edited it into T.I.'s 2006 film ATL. In response, King unloaded again on his Instagram story, sharing a list of more than a dozen grievances he had against the rapper. And the list was long. King referenced the 50's 2000 shooting, accused him of disrespecting Lil' Kim after once trying to pursue her, claimed he got outsold and embarrassed by Kanye West, and kept going. In a longer statement, King named several public figures who have clashed with 50 over the years, including Diddy, Rick Ross, Ashanti, and Vivica A. Fox. He wrote that the roster of people 50 has disrespected is endless, that he entered the industry stirring up unnecessary drama, and that nearly 30 years later, he's still chasing attention the same way. Then 50 fired back yet again, this time aiming even more directly at King and T.I.'s family. Fifth returned to Instagram and threw several more jabs at the trap pioneer and his loved ones. He did it while promoting the 2026 Broadway revival of August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone, a production he executive produced. He captioned the promo with the opening night date and added remarks that many saw as clear shots at T.I.'s family.
By this stage, T.I. himself decided it was time to respond through music. He hopped on Twitter with a post and previewed a new track titled War. It was never explicitly confirmed whether the record was a direct diss at 50 Cent, but let's be real, the timing had people connecting dots. And Tip wasn't finished. He followed up with another diss record called The Right One, where he referenced 50's ex, Daphne Joy, and her past relationship with Diddy. So now, you've got T.I. dropping diss tracks, King Harris turning Instagram into a battlefield, and 50 Cent trolling from the sidelines. What started as a Verzeus disagreement had morphed into a full-blown family versus one-man showdown, and it was only getting louder. But King wasn't satisfied with just stories and live stream energy. He leveled up the conflict in two major ways. First came a diss track, and then came paperwork. On February 24th, King released a song titled Made Man, directly addressing comments he believed were aimed at his mother. The record made it clear that for him, this wasn't industry sparring, it was personal. Throughout the track, King fired multiple shots at Fifth. He called out the mogul for disrespecting his mom and made it known he wasn't letting that slide under any circumstances. As a result, the song felt less like a commercial play and more like a family defense anthem. King wasn't chasing charts, he was sending a warning. And for a 21-year-old to square up lyrically with one of the most calculated and relentless trolls in hip-hop history, that alone showed he was all in. But hold up, the music was just part one. The very next day, King pulled what many in hip-hop consider the nuclear button, snitching allegations. King Harris dug deep into the archives during his feud with 50 Cent, resurfacing documents reportedly dating back to 2009. Meanwhile, 50 was still locked in a heated clash with both T.I. and his 21-year-old son. King then took to Instagram and posted what appeared to be an official FBI report from 2009. The document claimed that 50 Cent allegedly made an anonymous tip connected to the murder investigation of Lowell Lodi Mac Fletcher. According to the paperwork, he told authorities he feared for his safety and that James Jimmy Henchman Rosamond had ordered Lodi Mac's killing. Jimmy Henchman is currently serving a life sentence related to that case, along with other convictions. The paperwork King shared included a specific allegation. It stated that the phone used for the anonymous tip was linked to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and that Jackson allegedly confirmed he made the call because he feared for his life after Lodi Mac's death. King added a pointed caption to the post. In it, he framed the documents as a direct rebuttal to 50's long-running claims about T.I. He wrote that he had 21 questions but only needed one answered, asking who Lodi Mac was and suggesting that after Lodi Mac died, that's when 50 suddenly feared for his life. He ended by questioning whether this was the same man who labeled his father a rat without black and white proof, adding, "Here is yours." That move carried weight because 50 Cent has publicly branded T.I. a snitch for years. The tension intensified previously when 50 shared footage of T.I. testifying in relation to the death of his friend Phil Johnson and tagged the Atlanta rapper as King Rat. So essentially, King's message was simple: you call my dad a rat, but what about this paperwork with your name attached? Now here's the critical part. Although King posted those FBI documents accusing 50 of snitching, federal authorities had already declared similar documents fabricated back in 2019. And this wasn't even the first time those papers had made their rounds online.
These documents have a habit of popping back up anytime somebody locks horns with 50 Cent. Irv Gotti pushed similar accusations before. French Montana circulated comparable paperwork too. Every time, the claims fall apart under scrutiny, but real or fake, the play itself sends a message. King stepping in gave this whole situation a generational twist. A 21-year-old was now combing through alleged federal records from 2009 to score points against a man nearly twice his age, and the internet was glued to every refresh. Meanwhile, 50's reaction was pure 50. He brushed it off like it was nothing. Almost jokingly, he told fans he was just waiting for a slow news day, while the back and forth with T.I. and King kept trending. On the other side, T.I. stayed focused on the music. That same Wednesday, he continued pushing his campaign by dropping more material ahead of his Kill the King album. And then hold up, something shifted. Other rappers started chiming in. Rick Ross publicly showed support for King Harris during the feud with 50 Cent. That changed the temperature. Now it wasn't just the Harris household versus one man. The hip-hop community was slowly picking sides, and the longer this dragged out, the more names got attached.
As days turned into headlines, both camps kept escalating, but what made this clash stand out from typical rap beefs was the number of family members involved. This wasn't just lyrical sparring, it had turned into a family affair. King Harris kept applying pressure as the G-Unit film and TV mogul continued his issues with T.I. While blogs ran updates daily, King launched his own digital campaign against the G-Unit founder. Taking a page straight out of Fifth's trolling handbook, the son of T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris leaned into relentless Instagram antics. In a February 23rd post, King shared a photo of 50 with his younger son sitting on his lap. For context, 50 Cent is a father of two, including Marquise and Sire. King captioned the image claiming 50 was raising his son wrong, adding "This is not AI," and used Wanksta, 50's 2002 hit, as the soundtrack. In an Instagram Stories update, he doubled down by tagging 50 directly and calling him, in his words, the same attention-seeking figure he was at the start of his career. He even crossed the line again by bringing up 50's late mother. Since jumping into the feud tied to his father, King has remained a constant thorn in 50's side. He defended his dad with a diss record and what he claimed was authentic paperwork portraying 50 as a snitch, but that was only part of it. He also took harsh shots at 50's late mother, Sabrina, who passed away in 1983 when 50 was still young. And despite how sensitive that subject is, King kept pressing the issue. The 21-year-old went on a vulgar rant about her while essentially warning 50 to stay in his lane. Now listen, mentioning someone's deceased mother is a boundary many believe should never be crossed, no matter the beef. And as time went on, it became obvious some of King's words started weighing on him. Specifically, he recognized that 50's son, Marquise, had nothing to do with this situation, yet his grandmother's name was being dragged publicly. King then posted a message to Marquise admitting what he said came from emotion and didn't need to be said, adding that Marquise wasn't involved. He followed it up with, "As a man, I was wrong, let's chop it up," finishing with a crown emoji as a sign of respect. That apology came after heated exchanges that included King, T.I., and even his brother Damani taking shots at 50. So yes, even Damani had entered the ring. This had officially become a united family front against 50 Cent. King's latest statement showed a moment of reflection. He openly admitted his comments were emotional and unnecessary, emphasizing again that Marquise had no role in the conflict. It was clear he didn't think the next generation should be dragged into it. Owning that mistake stood out in a culture where pride usually keeps beef alive. His offer to chop it up suggested he preferred a private conversation over public warfare. That flash of maturity was notable, but it didn't mean the storm was over. 50 kept posting, T.I. kept dropping music, and the internet kept watching it unfold in real time. Although 50 initially fired off more jabs at Tiny and responded directly to King, those posts eventually disappeared from his Instagram, and that detail matters. This is 50 Cent we're talking about, a man known for never retreating, suddenly deleting content tied to the feud. Some interpreted that as a sign that things may have gone too far. Others believed he was simply cleaning up his page for business optics. After all, he's promoting a Broadway production and multiple TV ventures, including the 2026 revival of August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone, which he executive produced. So there was a legitimate business incentive to keep his feed professional. Still, the timing of those deletions, right after King shared the alleged FBI documents, had people raising eyebrows. Meanwhile, Tiny Harris has remained silent publicly about the drama involving her husband and son, and that silence has been consistent from day one of this entire saga.
Tiny, the woman whose picture ignited this entire domino effect, has remained completely silent while her husband and son carried the fight. And then, believe it or not, law enforcement got pulled into the conversation. Yes, the police were mentioned, but not for the reason you're probably thinking. The South Fulton Police Department actually addressed the situation after people began calling them once 50 Cent, T.I., and King Harris reignited their public feud. Let that sink in. People were dialing the police over a rap beef. That's how massive this story had become. So now we get to the part that probably brought you here. The headline floating around claims King Harris was hospitalized after an attack linked to 50 Cent's affiliates, and that T.I. broke down in tears. But what's really going on? Here's what we actually know. The feud between 50 Cent and the Harris family is very real. It's been covered everywhere from Hot 97 to Complex to Hot New Hip Hop. The Verzuz fallout, the Instagram trolling, the diss records, the resurfaced FBI paperwork, the family insults, all of that happened. None of those details is being debated. But the specific allegation that King Harris ended up hospitalized after an attack by people tied to 50, that's where things get shaky. Social media has painted a dramatic, almost cinematic narrative, yet there is no credible evidence confirming King is in a hospital. As of now, it appears to be just that, a rumor. Some versions even escalated the story, claiming he was in a coma and that his supposed last words were circulating online. The problem? Zero verification. Many of the accounts pushing this narrative have no history of legitimate reporting.
One TikTok page, Pop Talks 22, shared a collage-style video with an AI voiceover, but provided no reliable sourcing. TikTok after TikTok repeated extreme claims using robotic narration and dramatic captions, but offered no factual backing. Most of the profiles fueling the hospitalization story are not reputable outlets with established credibility. They drop sensational posts, chase engagement, and let the comment sections explode. To make matters worse for the rumor, there are no confirmed photos or trustworthy footage supporting it. The only pages amplifying the claim are the same ones known for clickbait headlines rather than verified journalism. On top of that, King has been visibly active on Instagram, posting content just days before these rumors began spreading. And based on everything we've already covered, he has been consistently active throughout this entire feud. He's been uploading stories, dropping a diss track, posting alleged documents, and even issuing an apology to 50 Cent's son Marquise. That's not behavior that lines up with someone fighting for their life in a hospital bed. The Steady Blow and Pro Show even cited insider sources denying the claims altogether, further casting doubt on the narrative. However, to be fair, they also didn't provide independently verifiable proof to fully shut it down. It's crucial to remember how viral rumors operate. When a story only lives on unverified social media accounts and never appears in established media coverage, that's usually your first red flag.
As for the claim that T.I. broke down in tears, there is absolutely no verified footage or credible reporting showing him crying over King Harris being attacked or hospitalized in connection to this feud. The TikTok videos pushing that narrative recycle old emotional clips of T.I. and layer them with dramatic AI voiceovers to manufacture a storyline that simply doesn't exist. Meanwhile, T.I. has remained active online throughout this entire saga, promoting his upcoming album, Kill the King, dropping music, and responding to 50 Cent through diss tracks. That's not the energy of a man sitting beside a hospital bed in despair. So here's the real bottom line. The feud between 50 Cent and the Harris family is completely real. Ever since King stepped into the arena, the tension has escalated fast and shows no signs of cooling off. T.I. has dropped multiple diss tracks. King released his own record, Made Man. He also posted what he claims are FBI documents accusing 50 Cent of cooperating with federal authorities. 50 has clapped back by trolling the entire Harris family on Instagram before eventually deleting the posts. Rick Ross publicly backed King. King later apologized to 50's son, Marquise. The South Fulton Police Department even had to ask people to stop calling about the situation. All of that actually happened. But the hospitalization rumors, the alleged attack by 50's affiliates, and the story of T.I. crying have not been confirmed by any legitimate outlet. Everything points to a fabrication, amplified by content farms and AI-driven TikToks trying to piggyback off a real conflict by injecting fiction for clicks. The long-standing friction between 50 Cent and T.I. has now evolved into something generational. It's complicated further by sons who grew up watching this industry drama from the sidelines and are now stepping into it themselves. King Harris is only 21. He watched his father navigate fame, controversy, and competition, and now he finds himself trading blows with one of the most relentless personalities hip-hop has ever seen. Whether you believe he handled it the right way or not, one thing is undeniable. He defended his family when he felt they were disrespected, and he later showed maturity by apologizing to Marquise Jackson when he realized he crossed a boundary. This situation is far from finished. 50 Cent is not known for quietly walking away, and T.I. has a full album rollout underway. He's continued his focused campaign by releasing more music as he builds anticipation for Kill the King. Even the title alone tells you his mindset. So stay alert, because if this past week proved anything, it's that this feud can escalate at any moment. And while the hospitalization story appears false, the tension between these camps is very real, and the next chapter could drop at any time. We'll keep you updated as more unfolds. Stay tuned.